What's up, guys? Storm again, back again with another video. And today we're going to talk about why I stopped watching the news. So, to start off this video, I'm going to give you a brief story about when I was younger and my first experiences with watching the news as a young kid. And as a young kid, every time I would come down to the living room and my dad or mom would be there watching the news, maybe I would sit there for a little bit, hang out with them, and then go on to do whatever I was doing. Sometimes they would call me down to talk to me about something completely unrelated, but they would be watching the news during the process, and something told me something. I don't know what it was, but there was a feeling that I got that just made me feel like I don't really like watching the news. It's kind of boring. I'd much rather go watch cartoons or SpongeBob or something else. Right. So as a kid, we gotta keep in mind always that some of the experiences that we have and some of the feelings that we feel are sometimes the most genuine feelings, because that's the time where we're still mostly connected, or as connected as we'll be, to our higher selves. Unless, of course, we wake up again later in life, but as a kid, that's when we're closest to that. So I didn't really like the news as a kid, whatever. Fast forward to now. Today, I don't ever actively watch the news, and I never really understood fully why. I just knew that, I never really liked the news in general. Now, the other night, I actually was hanging out with a couple friends. We were in the house and we were watching some TV, and I decided, hey, let's see what's on the news, just for fun, just to see what was up. And we started watching the news, and we started realizing that the vibes were just off, right? It was just kind of negative. It's not really, the vibes of the station itself were just off. The emotions and energies of the newscasters themselves were just not positive. And the news stories themselves were pretty brutal, to be honest. I know I can recall off the top of my head, we heard a story about a terrible building fire that killed, I think killed two, and one person barely survived. We heard a story about some dude getting murdered in a gang attack with knives and machetes. We heard about all kinds of fucked up shit, right? And the one light moment of the entire 15 or so minutes that we were watching this was when they were talking about the weather. Right? So now when I really think back to it, it's like the people that I know in my life who are always very worrisome, or very be careful because this might happen, or be careful because something might this, or play it safe. All the people that I know in my life who are like that are also the people in my life who watch the news on a regular basis. So that brings me to my ultimate point of this video, is that the purpose of the news is really not to inform you on what's going on. That's the disguise that they have so that you'll watch it, so that you'll pay attention. But the purpose of the news is really to just keep you in a very fearful state, right? For example, right, for the amount of bad things that happen and the amount of things that get reported on the news, you could argue that an equal amount of good things happen. But the amount of good things that happen that are reported on the news, very, 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 very little positivity reported on the news. If you don't believe me, go turn on any news station right now. Pause this video right now, go turn on a news station, and then come back and comment and tell me that the first 3 stories or articles that you heard about on the news weren't negative, or weren't telling you to watch out for this or watch out for that, or be careful of this or be careful of that. So why is that? Why do they push negativity and fear and and filter out all the positive news, because positive things happen every day, right? I'm sure a bunch of positive stuff happened to you today, but did it make the news? No, right? What made the news instead was a girl that got attacked by a loose dog in a park, right? Or a dude getting murdered and shot, or a kid getting hit by a car, or any of the other super negative things that are reported on the news. And the reality of the situation is, when you watch the news regularly, you are consuming fear regularly. You're consuming anxiety regularly. And then you wonder why you have issues with anxiety. You're scared of being in public places. You have all these problems and issues, and you can't sleep at night because you're constantly absorbing and eating fear as an energy through the news. So when I think to my life now and the fact that I don't watch news, and then I think to the fact that I'm not very fearful or not very glass half empty in the way that I look at things and the way that I look at situations, and then I compare myself to those who do watch the news, and the things that come out of their mouth are always, be careful of this, watch out for that, this might happen, that might happen, you never know. If you don't watch the news, that all that stuff does not exist, right? I want you to hear that. If you don't watch the news, none of that negativity exists in your reality. And if that negativity doesn't exist in your reality, then what is your reality? Your reality becomes what? Positive, right? So the next time you walk into a room and the news is on, leave, right? The next time a family member tries to tell you, oh, did you hear what happened? So, just cut them off. Hey, actually, I don't even care, and I don't even want to know what happened, right? I bet you they'll tell you anyway, right? I bet you they'll tell you that somebody lured a pregnant woman to their house to murder the woman and cut out her baby. That's the other thing about negativity you have to understand, is negativity likes to spread. That's how it works. So even if you don't watch the news, you're going to hear news stories because people are going to try to tell you. People are going to try to inform you so that you can watch out too. Don't fall for that trap. If you don't want to live a life that's fearful, if you don't want to live a life that a life of an anxiety, if you don't want to be scared to go out in public, stop watching the news. Stop watching the news on TV. Stop consuming the news on Facebook. Stop reading the articles and headlines on Google. Stop watching the news. Now, I'm not saying be naive. I'm not saying just imagine that these things never happen, because they do. But just understand that they don't happen in the proportion that you think they're happening in, right? And more positive things are going to be happening more often than negative. But those positive things aren't going to be reported on because negative things get clicks. So just understand that when you're watching the news, when you're consuming the news, you're being programmed and controlled to be fearful. And when you stop watching the news, all that fear and anxiety will leave your body. But until next time, this is a video on why I don't watch the news and why you should not either. Until next time, peace.